Hello, all you hardcores out there. How are you doing? It's Rusty from Poker's Corner. Welcome to part two. We should be joined by Terry any second. There you go. Women love him, men want to be him. How you doing, Terry? You all right, lad? Can you hear me?
Yep. All good, mate.
Good man. Good man. Reggie asked me to wear this.
Yeah.
It's
You're sponsored
KSI
now.
art.
You're selling out now, Russ.
France.
You gone corporate. You company man.
I can't put that on. He goes, oh, why not? You wear that Gallagher gym one. So I saw it and I'll put it on it. I look a complete weapon in it, but it makes him smile. So
You honestly look like you'd be selling Kenwood flip, the one things that pop off.
yeah. So I'll put this on for him, keep him happy.
And a couple of 6x9s.
Now, what I want to ask you is why are they playing musical chairs with these heavyweight divisions? Because it's looking like I've just been looking at something now online. They're going to announce Usyk against Dubois now. And what about Dubois Parker after all that we've just been through? Why is that, Terry? How can they just do that?
Money. So if you think about this, Russ, the Saudis are sinking a load of money into everything boxing related, right?
Yeah.
Look, if you look at what they've done, they've taken over what I call marquee level boxing, right? So the big events are Saudi funded pretty much, apart from maybe Gervonta Davis, but that will change as well. They've got the ring as a brand, as a magazine, etc. It's seemingly controlling the media outlets as well.
Yeah.
So they need to start getting a bit more money back for what they're doing. And don't forget, they got what? They got 10% of the zone. So so now what they're saying is we need to start making this a bit more corporate. So we're just going to make the fights that make the most economic sense.
Do you think
Joseph
Dubois were a
Parker,
risk for Parker? Or Parker were a risk for Dubois, sorry.
exactly. You know what I mean? That's the kind of look. Dubois beats Joshua, and Usyk is the guy that beats Fury. We always thought they should fight each other. Them having fights in between doesn't make any sense, really, does it? And this way, it means Dubois would have had two back-to-back camps. So we know he's going to be in shape and he's going to be sharp and he's going to be fresh. So maybe that's what they thought. I don't know. But where we are now is that's going to be the path of travel. And I think Joshua will fight the winner of this fight. And then he'll then put himself in position to fight the winner of Dubois versus Usyk.
Well, Usyk against Dubois a second time is, for me, I don't even know if we need a second fight for that deal.
Now, say how you really feel, Russ, because I saw the disgust in your face when you said that.
Listen, I just thought he got bladdered in that first one, Daniel Dubois. Did you? Come on.
I'll tell you what, here's what I think. And this was the difference between them that night. Usyk realized that knockdown was a pivotal moment, right? And his attitude was, that can never happen again.
Mm.
And that's the attitude Dubois needed to have. He should have been like, as soon as his ref says box, I am all over him.
Mm.
And he wasn't. And then Usyk was like, oh, you're not going to try and finish me off? Cool. Watch what I do. And then Usyk just put his foot on the accelerator. And I think that was the gap between them. Because if you break down the individual components, Daniel's bigger, stronger, hits harder, not as active, admittedly, and not the same ring IQ.
Yeah.
So there's six of one, half a dozen of the other. But that mentality that Usyk's got is what makes him so far ahead of everyone else.
You think he ran out of ideas, Terry, in that first fight, and he had a brain overload?
He just needed to beat Usyk up. I don't know why people obsessed with trying to outbox him. He gets in people's heads and he tries to make them box. But if you ever look at the times where Usyk's uncomfortable, it's when you throw a couple of shots to the head and then sink a couple to the body. And you can see Usyk like looks uncomfortable. The headshots he just swallows. He just eats those all day. It's the body shots where he can't hide his pain. And so why guys aren't training to just target the body, like systematically target their bodies beyond me.
Yeah. Do you feel that when he fought Joshua Usyk, that were the best of him after that? And do you think he's been a bit on the slide since then?
No, I liked him in Fury 1.
Did you? And after that, because you think he would have been on the slide then?
I think after Fury 1, he had to dig deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after Fury 1, and remember, you and I always talk about round number 6 when he had Usyk running around the ring. And that was when Usyk he had to have a word with himself and go, do I really want to be the man in this division? And the answer was yes.
Yeah.
And then he dropped Fury.
He went after Fury after the 6th round, didn't
he? Yeah.
It's something happened in that corner in that 6th round. And it reminded me of Ali after round 1 against Foreman, where he just stood up and he was like, "Ooh, am I that man?" You know, that moment.
Yeah, and I think great sports people understand that moment, and they grab it and they go, "This is when I come alive." And I put weirdly enough, I put David Haye in that bracket as well. Although people are going to laugh in the comments. So, mate, this is going to do
Mormac.
Against Mormac, even against Bellew, because you think his Achilles snapped, right? And I saw the scan; his Achilles was fucked, right? Yeah. And think of how he fought. Like, he fought like a guy who was like, I'm not going out like that.
Yeah.
It was so different to the second fight. So different. 2 different David Hayes.
I remember watching David Haye years and years ago when he was coming through, and he was so fast and powerful, and you were like, "Oh, can stop this guy," and you look the part. And do you know what I mean? And he's tended to he's sort of like he never matured. Like, his style didn't allow him to mature. Like, and Mike Tyson's saying, whereas Lennox Lewis, they got better with age, didn't they? But David Hayes' style, he seemed to like burn out quick. Do you think?
But he had quite a raw style, right? I think if you look at someone like Mayweather's got gears, right? Yeah. So Mayweather can brawl with you if he wants to, right? But what Floyd likes to do is just rely on fundamentals. Control the distance, control the position, control the pace of the fight. And then if I need to make any adjustments, I will do. Whereas I think with David, it's just seek and destroy.
Yeah.
And that's always been how David operates, seek and destroy, because he knows if he gets you, it's over.
Yeah.
And Wilder was a bit similar, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But I think there comes a point when the body just doesn't allow you to do that anymore. And we won't notice it as civilians, right? But in the gym, you're just 0.1 of a second slower than you were maybe 2 years before. And that's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Do you think when Fury fought Usyk, that 6th round in the first fight, do you think after that Fury's that he got a little bit old after that, because he weren't really in the fight after that 6th round, were he? I don't think so. 4, 5, and 6 he dominated, and I think Usyk let him empty his tank. And I don't think he's been the same fighter after that 6th round. Do you? Do you think that's the growing up, getting old moment? Because before the first fight, I was saying, look, Fury's on the slide here. His punch output, in them comeback fights that he had, and even in the Wilder fights, the punch outputs and feints weren't as like he were in the olden days. And do you think that Fury style, he didn't adapt his style? Everybody kept saying, "Oh, Fury's a puncher now. He goes after people." Well, that's because he can't get out of the way. He's got no choice. Do you agree with that theory, Terry?
I wonder how good he was really. So I don't know if he's on the slide or if we are just being a bit more realistic, if you see what I mean. Because after Wilder won, we were like, "Oh, this guy, this is the best heavyweight in the world." And all the usual suspects were waxing lyrical about Fury being back. After the second fight, it went into overdrive, right? When he stopped him.
Yeah.
It went into overdrive. But you and I talked at the time, and I said, Russ, this is taking something out of his soul.
What do you mean he stopped him?
Remember the fight when Wilder got stopped by Fury?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you and I talked, and I said, this has taken a lot out of Fury.
Mm.
And then they had that third fight, and that took everything that was left out of Fury. Because I don't believe if Fury doesn't have 3 fights with Wilder, Ngannou doesn't land a glove on him.
Yeah. You know, when people talk about defensive genius as an all-time greats, Fury's been down 10 times, hasn't he, in his career? Well, 9 officially, but technically it's 10, isn't it? Or is it Joshua 10 and Fury 9? Something like that. He's not a defensive specialist, is he? No, I think it's Fury 8 and Joshua 10, but it's 9 in record books. But the Dubois one of them was a knockdown. They didn't give it, did he? McDonald didn't give it, Marcus McDonald.
Yeah.
So it's 9 times officially Joshua down, 8 Fury. Do you feel that Fury is not a defensive specialist?
Find me a defensive specialist who doesn't have a great chin.
Right.
You notice that all the people we think that are good defensively,
yeah,
also have good chins.
Mm.
It doesn't mean that they don't get rocked, but you don't see them getting dropped very often. Like Mayweather was hardly ever dropped. He's really good defensively.
Mm. Yeah, that's correct. I watched a Mayweather fight overnight against Miguel Cotto, and Miguel Cotto put it on him, didn't he?
Yeah, Cotto's a great fighter. One of my favorites. Yeah,
and he busted his face, and that Shane Mosley got to him a couple of times in their fight, didn't they? But these are your elite fighters, aren't they?
These are Hall of Fame guys.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But
these are Hall of Fame guys that Mayweather toyed with in the second half of those fights.
Yeah. Moses Atome, Terry. Can he go all the way? People are saying that he's with the right people. He's got Francis managing, and he's an up and coming manager. And Francis Warren, obviously, we know his dad is Frank Warren. Moses is trained by what's he called?
Ben
Davidson. So he's got all the right kind of people around him to go all the way, and he really. And he's just turned 20, I believe.
Yeah.
Can he win a world title, Terry? Yes or no?
Yes, because he's got time.
Mm.
So this whole generation is going to get old pretty soon.
Mm.
And then there's no one really around him that we can point to and go, that's the next threat for Moses. So I think when Moses does get to that level, there'll be his belts to keep because there's no one else really coming out where you're like, oh my God, that guy's a monster. Maybe like the Jalilov guy, the Uzbek, but they don't really do much with him either, are they?
No. Do you see David Adelaide doing anything? And Fabio Wardley?
Adelaide's got to deal with Jamie TKV.
Yeah, is that a hard fight, Terry?
That's a hard fight for him because styles make fights. David Adelaide's good when he's got space to work. Jamie gives you no space to work.
Mm.
And so how will David cope being pushed backwards, having to work on the back foot? I think it'll be a very hard night for him. In terms of Fabio, so Fabio's in this odd place, isn't he? Because Fabio's not quite at the top table yet, but he's better than guys like Adelaide, Fraser Clark, etc. So he's in that kind of middle ground of what do you do with him? You know, do you put him in with a Joyce or a Dillian White now? Is it time to put him in with that level and we find out what he's really got?
Mm. Do you think that David Adelaide is explosive, but he's got a similar style to Davey Day and that he might burn out quick?
Well, he's done what Porky would do.
What's that?
Went to Adam Booth.
Go to Adam Booth. He's the best. The Dark Lord. Adam Booth's on comeback trailer. He's been quiet.
Yeah. But no, look, I think David Hayes is a completely different animal to David Adelaide in every way. David was a rare talent. Like, we don't produce many David Hayes in this country. We just haven't historically. I think David Adelaide's a bit more of a a guy who's trying to make his way in the sport. He's trying to figure out who he is in the ring. And this might not be the opportunity to find out, but he's on that path.
Well, he's taking this a 50-50, isn't he? So we have to give David Adelaide some respect, don't we, really?
Yeah, 100%. Look, he's trying to get that Saudi money again.
Yeah, always, yeah. It's Big Freeze, a.k.a. Fraser Clark. He's got a dint in his head as big as brick tops. Do you think he'll heal mentally and physically? Because obviously it were a bad knockout from Wardley, that, wasn't it?
Savage. He's fighting that Ebenezer Tete, isn't he? Like, utterly pointless fight. No, but if you want to rebuild confidence, that's the perfect fight for it.
Is Fabio Wardley in the? Is he now joining the Who Needs Him club like Luis Ortiz and Bacoli kind of thing? Is he going to be that guy for the next couple of years and phased out because he's obviously got a whack on him, hasn't he?
Yeah, strong guy.
He's not frightened to let his hands go as well, Wardley, and I like that about him.
I wish more were like him.
I do, yeah. I do, yeah. And do you know what? It's a bit like Josh Warrington. Not that I'm saying Josh Warrington were white collar, but every time we've seen Josh Warrington in a fight with somebody good, we'd all say, he'll be getting beat this time. And Josh kept racking up the wins, didn't he? Do you think Fabio is like that? Because I keep thinking, well, he's white collar, he'll get found out and blah, blah, blah. And he just keeps chugging along, doesn't he, Fabio?
He knows how to jump on people. He has a really good sense of timing on when to jump on someone. And because he's quite big and strong, like, he can overwhelm you because he'll throw a good few shots at you.
Yeah. What about Solomon Dakras? Where do you see him going now? Would you like to see him in with White Rhino?
I want to see Dave Allen and Johnny Fisher first. And if we don't get that, let's get Johnny Fisher versus Solly Dakers.
Do you think that the White Rhino against Elmer Fudd rematch is dragging on a bit now and it's got a bit boring?
Well, they're going to drag it out, aren't they? Because Johnny Fisher needs a lot of work. So the later they
can have that, he needs a lot of summit, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, your best mate's training him.
Mark Tibbs. Well, they're undefeated, aren't they, together?
Porky. We'll have less of that, son. All right, Shan. We'll have less of that, Shan.
Behave yourself, Sam. Behave yourself. What's he getting busy for, Russell?
Yeah.
Tell him I said behave himself. I pay my fucking visit.
Woo!
Yeah, I like Mark Tibbs, don't I? So, and you know what? Him and Dylan never lost. And when Dylan left him, he went to Caldwell and that Xavier. He got put on bottom moon by Povetkin, didn't he?
Well, we're not allowed to talk about that anymore. No contest.
Yeah, no. Well, it's still on box rec as a win. I want to ask you about that, Terry. Actually, the media, right? Everybody's asking David Price about Povetkin, but they're not asking Dylan White about Povetkin. Is that because Dylan White's been done a few times? What do you think? For been busted?
Probably, but also remember, David Price has often talked about doping, and I think he's often been on the mark about doping.
I like David Price. He talks a lot of sense. I think he's one of the good pundits out there.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of him when it comes to boxing.
I would.
Because it's it's just really clear with him, right? It's not overly complicated. It's just nice, it's simple, it's clear, and it's always from the perspective of this is what it's like in there.
Yeah. I don't think that David Price is a company man. I think Bellew is when he's on DAZN, but I think when David Price is given a microphone, I always think he speaks from the heart and with a lot of experience. He's Olympic bronze medalist, wasn't he? And he's Commonwealth champion. So he's obviously been there, hasn't he? And he's been in the thick end of the sport. He's been beat by a few drug cheats. So I tend to listen when David Price talks. I know he gets a lot of stick for that big suit he had on years ago, big friendly giant suit. But I actually think he's one of the best pundits out there, him and Duke McKenzie. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Duke's underrated. I think bring Prince Nassim back as well. I enjoyed having Naz on. I think Naz gives you that perspective of someone who's been to the top of the mountain and is like, listen, I can tell you if someone's good or not.
He gave you back some stick a few years ago, didn't he, Naz?
He kept it real. It's like, I think he should stop.
Mm. Okay. Uh, UK boxing at the moment, Terry. Is it feeding on scraps? What's happening here? I'm looking at some of these upcoming shows, and some of the box rec rankings are like in the 1000s, and these are chief supports and headlines. Some of them ranked 800 and they're headlining. What is it? Is it a collective problem between everybody, or is it all roads lead to Saudi and we're just padding our records out?
So I think there's a bit of both, isn't there? So there's a thing that says, well, if they're all off at Saudi boxing, here's my chance to become a British star. So there are a load of lads who are focused on that. I think if you looked at like Dan Aziz, Craig Richards, Denzel, if you look up north, I think you're going to start putting Catrell in that bracket as well. Guys who, and Josh Taylor as well, guys who can dominate the British scene, still do good pay-per-view numbers, still do good like ticket sales here. Let's not overlook those guys.
I mean, what's happening with Steve Goodwin and Dean White? They were putting shows on down your way, and Dean White looked like he was flying at one point, didn't he? And
yeah,
working his knackers off, and it all seems to have gone quiet for them guys, doesn't it? Steve Goodwin as well.
So Steve generally doesn't promote in Jan and Feb because it's like post Christmas and people don't have the money. So March, you'll see the Goodwin shows from March. I imagine Dean White will be back around March, April time as well.
What in down your way? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Did you see Puppy Parsons' video with the title "I flew to Saudi with Eddie Hearn and ordered him his first Burger King burger"? Did you see it?
See, when you say stuff like that, I know it's going to be stupid, so I don't watch it. Like Charlie Parsons makes videos for 21-year-olds, so I'm not 21.
I don't think he's doing himself any favors doing that, because when Charlie Parsons first started, I really bought into him and I thought, wow, this kid here is a young kid, and he looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid, doesn't he? Only he looks about 12, doesn't he? But he's a young kid. And I thought he was asking really on point questions, but it looks like he's been softened up and he's got a bit starstruck. Do you think?
Yeah, it happens, man. He's a young man. He's getting to work with his heroes. He's probably in awe of these guys and the fact that they're giving him the time of day.
Yeah, I just think that stuff like that, and you're working on the zone as well, and you're coming out with stuff like that. I sometimes wonder what's going on. AD, I'll have a Dippo or whatever it's called, Dipstick, whatever. I liked his YouTube channel, but should these guys have YouTube channels if they're working for the zone or in mainstream media on Talksport? What do you think to that? Because they're not going to be objective, they're going to be biased, do you think?
If people want to watch him on YouTube, they should be free to watch him. I just think you can't talk with different voices. So you can't have the DAZN corporate voice and be, backside kissing people and then come out afterwards on your green chair and start talking crazy about the sport. It's like, well, to what extent have you actually talked to these people and said it to their faces? You won't. But Andy always had the goal of getting into sports journalism. So if the YouTube channel is a way to get their fair play to him, I can't knock that.
Yeah, but the line of questioning is, and the actual fanboyness with Anthony Joshua is what I have a problem with, because at no stage on his channel is he saying that Joshua's punch resistance has gone. He's basically a fanboy. And anybody can see that Anthony Joshua's frightened to pull the trigger because of what's coming back. The statistics prove it. And how he's not a hunter no more. Have you noticed how he's very cautious, Anthony Joshua? And he's been cautious ever since Vladimir dropped him 8 years ago. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think once you lose that edge, it's very, very hard to box. Like, because the early version of Joshua just set about people. And I don't know if you can do that past a certain age, just in terms of mentality. You can't be that relentless and that ruthless. Yeah. And now he's realized his fundamentals are where they need to be. So he's not going to have longevity in the sport.
Okay. Joshua Boatse fights tonight against the giant mute, Callum Smith. I've got Joshua Buatsi to win on points. I think he's too skillful, and I think he's got a little bit more vigor. And Callum Smith's had 5 fights in 5 years. So, do you think that Callum Smith can pull it off? Yes or no?
No.
Why not?
See when you see that's the danger of a yes or no question.
It's a what, Terry?
That's the danger of a yes or no question. You just get a one word answer.
No, this is just all you want to say. You're not a Callum Smith fan, are you?
He hasn't been active. What's 5 fights in 5 years, Russ?
Yeah.
And you're in your 30s now, so it's going to catch up to you. Boatsie's been active, and he's a high work rate guy. Callum doesn't like high work rate guys. And also,
sorry, go on.
Look at the caliber as well. Like, Callum tends to lose to people who are in their right weight classes. So when he fought Canelo at 168, Canelo was a super mid, and it wasn't like Hassan and Dam who'd been brought up, and so he lost. When he fought Beterbiev, who was a proper light heavyweight, he lost. And Boatsi is a proper light heavyweight, and I don't know if Callum's got the physicality to cope.
What about Eddie Hill saying that he can go up to heavyweight? He said that his words when he was super middleweight, going on about the size of
Eddie
his
who?
back.
Eddie who?
Eddie Hills was saying, Callum Smith's back's that big and it goes into a V. I've just seen him in dressing room and he could go up to heavyweight. Like Eddie's an expert on bodies. And well, we've seen him go from super middle to light heavy and struggle. So we're already coming with that one. So why? Surely he's big enough to deal with Boatsi. That's Eddie Hills' opinion. So I don't know. I just wonder what you thought.
No, I think Josh will all beat him up.
Do you think that Joe Gallagher needs to be given a little bit more credit with what he did for Callum Smith? Because when I look through Callum Smith's record, to say that he is multi-SoFi swimming in Chochai as regards financially, his best wins, George Groves, a one-armed bandit at the time. That's it.
Yeah.
Nick Holtzken and Rocky
Luke Blackledge
and Luke Blackledge, and that's it. Hassan and Dam, a 40-year-old middleweight, all pushing that age. Is that it? Is that the Callum Smith CV? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Smiths. Am I right? The best win between all of them, beef is what's that? Eubank and George Groves. Is that it between the lot of them? The Beatles are boxing. So I think Joe Gallagher needs to be given a little bit more respect to say that Callum's won every belt there is to win at super middleweight and is a multi-millionaire. And the others didn't do bad. I mean, Paul Smith kept getting big fights, didn't he? Groves, De Gale, Nicky Holtzson, Andre Ward, and other big fights he's had, Paul Smith, hasn't he? So I think they've done well.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Terry?
Yeah. I think sometimes trainers don't get the credit they deserve for what they create. And everyone goes, oh, anyone could have trained him. I feel the same way when people talk about Tunde and Atniyad. Oh, Adam Booth would have done better with him. And I'm like, nah, he wouldn't. He really wouldn't. You don't realize how hard it is to train someone until the chemistry's off. Like sometimes you got kids in the gym and there's just no training chemistry.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of teaching them, but it's not connecting. But when you connect with someone and you train them, you take them to a whole new level.
Okay. The Gad.
Your favorite.
You what, mate?
Your favorite.
The Gad. He's very opinionated this week in Fight Week. He tends to lose his mind hanging around boxing people. You think he's here to stay or what?
Yeah, he knows how to maneuver.
Well, he's already bought an house on the same street as Eddie Hills and Crusher Ben. So he's obviously in the mix down there, isn't he?
Yeah. Which house next to Eddie though?
He's on is it Stock up that way? Essex, Ingatstone up there. He's up there.
Ingatstone,
now
yeah.
We're mixing with that lot. The Essex boys. Crusher Ben there. Private school.
Hey, Mickey Steele's out now.
Is he? Mickey Steele for Essex boys. Is he out?
Yeah. So I was saying he's got a lot of movies to catch up on, hasn't he?
You got Essex boys 26.
Yeah, Rise of the Foot Soldier 55. He's got loads to catch up on. But listen, you know, all that lot are waiting, aren't they? All the James English, Sean Atwoods, you know, they were waiting for this.
You know what, mate? It's, you know what, it's, you know, that lot now, when I look, I can't even watch any of them sort of films now or them YouTube interviews. You know why? Because half of it's just knackers. It's just repeat, in it about somebody else's version. It's become boring, hasn't it? At
And
least
it's also a lot of lies.
eh?
A load of lies as well.
Load of old pony, mate. Listen, he's done his porridge. Been in a 30 stretch, hasn't he? The other kids out as well, isn't he now? He got out before him, didn't he? He would be better behaved. But good luck to them. They've done the shovel now, and let's hope they can prove their innocence and get some compo. If they are innocent, they're still going to push it, aren't they? If they are. If they're not innocent, well, they've done the bird, haven't they? Leave them alone. That's how I look at it. But,
they never did it.
Well, I mean, somebody did it, didn't they? Obviously, somebody killed them three lads, didn't they? So I look at it.
I think just from the little bits I've heard, if that story came out, it would bring down the public's confidence in a few institutions, let's say.
Yeah, meaning the police.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It's all a load of old pony macaroni.
They all love it though, because I remember growing up for us, you weren't meant to tell tales. You were meant to take stuff to the grave.
No.
But as soon as they get a microphone, mate, it's 3 hours of just grasping on everyone.
Same one with Daniel Westbrook on that Terry Stones channel over there. It's the criminal boxing
Connection.
podcast. Why does he have Eddie Hills on there if it's a criminal podcast? What's he doing on there?
Or why is he hosting it if it's a criminal podcast?
I know, yeah, he's never been
just because he acted as one.
You know, unbelievable, isn't it, mate? Unbelievable. But it is what it is. We'll finish off on Hamza Shiraz then. He's got a fight against Carlos Adames. I think that's a bit of a knockover job for Shiraz, do you?
No. Is it hell? If you look, right, Shiraz is the guy who got dropped by Bradley Skeet, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking at guys like Adames. Adames has been in with who? Terrell Gausha, J. Rock Williams, Sergey Devryanchenko. Those are all guys that if Hamza Shiraz had beaten those guys, we'd be talking about him as one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying Adames is going to win, but he's arrived at this point by taking a hard road. The hard road.
On the hard road, like Big John Fury. 100 on the hard road. 100 knocked out, and one of them for 100 grand. Throwing a lot of hundreds about there, John. Who you fought, John, for 100 grand? Said Wally Downs Jr. from The Sun. Do you know for it? You know Wally? I can't remember the man's name. 100 bags. You fight him for 100 bags and you can't remember the man's name. I don't know. You'd have thought the Gad would have pulled him up on that, you know, with all them chats he has with him in the motel lobbies and whatnot, wouldn't you?
Nah, the guy would have been like, I know exactly who it was. I can't remember his name either.
Yeah, exactly. We know, don't we? But I think if Shiraz can do that, he's got a. He could really have a good run at that weight, couldn't he? And dominate for a few years, then step up. Because there's nobody really is there in that division who's any good.
Nah, it's a solid win. If he can get that one, that's a solid win.
Yeah, but if he can, there's not many other names, is there, in that? There's no elite guys, is there, in that division at the moment?
No, Janibek's the only one you could put it close to that.
You look at Marvin Hagler having been a WBC champion, and Hamza Shiraz being a WBC champion. It don't have the same ring to it, does it, Terry?
Nah, but he hasn't been through it yet, like Hagler had been through it.
Yeah, Hagler had to go through it properly, didn't he, to get because he had to go the ranking way, didn't he? You know, do it the hard way.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's what people forget. The hard way.
The hard way. Liam Cameron against Ben Whittaker.
Hard fight for Ben, I think. I was saying to someone, the thing with Liam is, remember, Liam was still ring rusty when he fought him the first time.
He ain't now.
Yeah, Liam's sharpening up. He's warming up nicely. People forget Liam Cameron's a hard kid from Sheffield who can box and has been in with good boxers since he was a kid. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like he was Kel's sparring partner when he was a teenager. Do you know what I mean? He's been in tough.
He's
There's
never
not enough
been
respect.
stopped, Liam.
Yeah, he's tough, man. You're not stopping him, and he's got nothing to lose. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely nothing to lose in this fight.
He's the kid off the council estate who's a nice kid, but he's tough, Liam.
Yeah, that guy that you see him having a laugh and a joke. You might think he's a bit soft, and then you'll find out the hard way that he's not.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. What you got planned for the rest of the day?
It's England Scotland today, so I'm going to go up and watch the rugby. And then I'm just going to try and survive that. We're meant to have a couple of kids boxing at the Earlsfield show tomorrow, but that show has been cancelled. So I'm gutted because like I'd kind of planned around getting kids out. Got this young Albanian kid, Russ, and like he's looking really, really good.
Good kid, yeah.
Yeah. Like flashy, likes to hurt kids.
Good. I'm off for a game of snooker in a minute. Get me touch right.
I'm expecting at least 3 147s, Russ.
Nah, I'll be happy just to get throat balls down and pot about 12 or 13 on trot, anything, just to get me touch rate, mate.
Yeah, you getting
Yeah,
ready for the Crucible?
Yeah, well, I'm never going to make Crucible. It's pool I play in it, but if you can get your touch right on a snooker table, it's easy pool in it because pool table's 4 times smaller in it than a snooker. That's how I look at it anyway. It's good logistics. But because my touch is all over the place, I think my eyes are going well. I'm like a blind man. So
Yeah, mate.
so all right.
Ooh,
Then.
yeah,
Listen,
mate.
you have
All right, pal.
a good day, Terry.
Have a good weekend, mate. Speak to you
Thank
soon.
you. Take care,
All right,
mate.
mate. Bye.
Bye. All that with Terry. 37 minutes. Chapendama. Women love him, men want to be him. A banker from Zimbabwe living in London. Good luck to him. It takes a lot of balls to come over here as a kid with your family and go through the school system down south and then up here, up to Sheffield, to university and that, and continue doing your boxing and rugby and all that. So I've got no respect for Terry. He's done commentating for Fight Zone as well. I got him in there with Dennis, didn't I? Little gig for him. He's done well. I think he's done 2 or 3 shows now. So good luck to Terry. He's a trainer as well at Fitzroy Lodge and don't take anything out of the sport. And that's why I like him. Okie dokie. Keep looking at these. Will I crumble? Will I crumble? Nah, I ain't crumble. I'm too dedicated now. Too disciplined. So that's it. So hope everybody enjoys the boxing tonight. I've got 1 o'clock now. So we'll have a couple of games. We'll have a pint of Guinness. And then we've got Bob on 4 o'clock. Canada Bob. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it'd be 18th morning at Bob's. Yeah. So all right. So hope you're all okay. I hope you all enjoyed the Anthony Austin interview that I did yesterday. It's done really well. It's about 6,000 views. That's good, that, isn't it, for me? So, all right. You take care. Peace out.